All right. Hello. Welcome to the channel. I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to be saying, but welcome. All right. So these are things that happen in your 20s or before your 20s. So let's say, in your 20s that most people do not talk about. I don't have time to, list things down and all of that, but that is also in an advantage, giving you guys an option to chime in your own suggestions and whatever you feel I did not add. So let me dive into it. So first of all, number one thing that happened in your 20s that people do not talk about is the confusion. Like 70% of the time you are mostly confused on either what to do, where you need to go, and basically everything that happens in your life you're confused. Even what to eat, you're mostly confused. Unlike when you were like a teenager, you can just jump into anything, but now you tend to watch and you tend to you're more watchful, so that can put you in this confusion state and all that. So another thing that happened in your 20s, rather in the 20s that people do not talk about, is that state of, how would I put it? There's this stage in your 20s whereby you need this manly figure in your life, and most of the time guys in their 20s really don't have this. Most guys in their 20s don't have this fatherly figure around. Like basically I didn't have my dad around like most of the time in my life. Even right now he's somewhere but he's not here. So in our 20s we mostly need this mentor, this someone, like this manly person we can look up to, and at least to help us navigate some part of our lives. So when you're in your 20s you tend to seek for manly figures to look up to. So that is something people mostly do not talk about, but I'm guessing it happens to guys. Yeah, so another thing that I know happens in your 20s is there's this stage of being addicted to things. Is it that you're addicted to relationships? Is it that you're addicted to, and they're mostly vices. Is it that you're addicted to cigarettes? Is it that you're addicted to drinking? You just find something to keep yourself to cope. That's another thing that happens in your 20s that people do not talk about. I personally, I was mostly addicted to smoking and cigarettes and all that. So I had to cut that off at some point. Even right now, even in my 20s, it has been a hard thing, but that is another thing that happens in your 20s that people do not talk about. You would be addicted to something. You feel addicted. That might be sex too, and that can be something that is very hard to let go. And it also could also be masturbation, and all of that shit too. That's another thing that happens in 20s that most people don't talk about. Another thing that I also think most people don't talk about and that also happens in our 20s is, there's this stage in our life where if we feel like we do not have this, we've not found our purpose, we enter this stage of, how I put it, is it depression? Our mind starts to go around. If you wake up in the morning as a man, as a guy in your 20s, and you are not going somewhere, you feel that there's something left. You feel like you've actually not done anything for the day. You feel so down. You are mostly angry at everybody. You are pissed at everything. Even if your dog bites you by mistake, you are mostly pissed. So another thing that happens in your 20s that most people don't talk about is that stage of being depressed if you've not found your purpose, or if you've not found something that actually brings you, financial that gives you financial stability rather. That's another thing that happens in your 20s. And another thing that also happens in your 20s is also this stage of trying to balance, not balance rather, trying to like, you know, religion wise, you're trying to check if religion is something that you would like to like carry on in your life. You at that stage in your 20s, you tend to like be open-minded about religion. You tend to want to know more about this other religion and that other one. You tend to be like, how would I put it, you get to be like this, you start to dive into this spiritual part of your life. You would want to like see if there's an advantage to this religion you are in. You start with most people, like some people, not most. It happened to me. It happened to me when I was in my 20s. I started questioning religion and all that shit. But at some stage, I knew what was right for me and what was not right for me, and that has kept me going and all of that. Do you understand? I'm not biased. I'm not judgmental. I just go with the flow. I observe. I really don't. I just observe. That's all. So another bonus, I don't know if people, other people have experienced this, but another thing that happens in your 20s that people do not talk about is you are more self-aware. You at that point you're trying to build yourself. Is that emotionally? Is that emotionally, yes. Is that health-wise, you're trying to build yourself, and in any way, the place parts of yourself that has been weak, part of your life that has been weak before, you try to build it. And that is another thing that happens in your 20s that most people do not talk about. Those things are extremely hard to do, but it comes at a time in our life whereby everything feels jam-packed. This stage called 20s is like this, how will I put it, is the level before you get to this boss level. It feels easy at some point, but there's this hard parts to it too. You're flexing life, you're young, life is coming at you like a bulldozer, so everything is jam-packed and all that shit. So any other thing that you guys feel you want to add, the comment section is there and all that shit. So that's all for today.